Hi, welcome to Insights into Consciousness. I'm your host tonight, Anna Olsen. And tonight on A1R Radio, we're going to have a couple of readings, and we could have somebody from the other side of the world. We can have somebody from the US. I'm really excited to see who we get tonight. So first I wanted to go into a little bit of the topic of toxic people, just because I had a couple of questions that people had asked about the topic and how to shield yourself energetically from toxic people. So the wonderful thing is, I know I've had earlier Julie Jensen. She's been on my show before, and she's been my main teacher in boundaries for intuitives. And the work of setting boundaries with people who may be toxic, or basically people who are inherently, they call them emotional vampires. Basically, they are people who drain you and who take from you to the point that you feel worse after being around them than before. So that would be the definition of a toxic person. So I had a question asked about how to energetically, psychically, emotionally shield or protect oneself from a toxic person. The first step is to understanding, this is a really interesting and debatable topic, but to figure out, first of all, are you yourself toxic around them? Are you in a pattern that has gone on for, could be your lifetime, could be years, could be some pattern that you're in for some psychological reason? Are you the toxic person when you are interacting with the person you believe is toxic? So the first thing to ask yourself is, what do I do or say that subconsciously or consciously I know bothers this person, or jabs at this person, or passive aggressively deals with this person if they annoy me? So that's the first thing you need to ask yourself. And you have to commit to yourself to only being in your highest self. So that would be for the highest and greater good. That's your higher self, where you're more connected to spirit, which means that you're thinking more about whatever that makes you feel spiritual. Like if you meditate, you can do that before you're around that person. And then when you're around them, to be sure that you avoid at all costs doing the things that you know bothers them, or that could be, something that you know causes the cause and effect for the toxicity between the two of you. So that's one way of breaking a pattern, whereas you are part of the toxicity. The second part is, if that person is basically just toxic, and many, many people around that person, or the majority of the people around that person, tend to say the same thing about them, that there's just only so much of them they can take. You have to take them in small doses. Everybody who's around basically just feels worse after they've been with them. It's just important to realize that some people are just inherently toxic, and that that means that inherently, just their personality, the way they deal with others, the way that they operate, they're going to drain you. That's an inherently toxic person. So some people, like, let's say they're going through a grieving process, or they're going through a really hard day, those are more of a transient toxic person, which means that this period of toxicity or negativity will pass. So there's two things to consider there. If somebody's just going through a hard time and they need support, and yeah, it's difficult to be around them for a while, but that's different than an inherently toxic person. An inherently toxic person always has had an issue since you've known them, or always has some dramatic issue that they're dealing with that they need you for. So there's the inherently and, the passively, or the transient toxicity in people. So the way that you shield energetically from these people, whether it be transient or inherent toxicity, is to imagine a white aura of light. It can be lavender, it can be a golden white light, however it feels most effective to you. You're going to want this to come through Archangel Michael or Angel Raphael, or both, whoever you feel most comfortable with. And you're going to use a rose light as well, in layers with the golden white light and lavender light, to surround your body and to energetically seal a solid shield when you are around toxic people, or even if you go into a busy place, if you feel a lot of vibes, if you tend to be an empath, you can make it so automatic through visualization that when you walk into a place where you're around that person, you can say to yourself or say out loud or kind of give the command to the universe that your shields are up now. So that means that you are protected from anything negative, and that only good can permeate this shield, either in or out. And my brother actually taught me the good shield permeation trick to that you can only allow good in or out. So that's the way you do it psychically, energetically. It takes some practice. You're going to imagine it all the way around you. You're going to end up feeling a tingling feeling when you kind of energetically, psychologically, spiritually put that shield around you. It's going to feel tingly. You're going to feel safe. You're going to feel this barrier between you and the person, or you and the environment. You're going to suddenly feel like you're in a cocoon. So you'll know that's how it's effective. If you're having more anxiety, you can add some essential oils, some deep breathing where you're breathing into your abdomen. You can also do like a meditation with the deep breathing for 10, 15 minutes before you're around that person or before you go somewhere that may be stressful. So those are some tips there. And I have a caller that I'd like to do a reading on, and I'm grounded and ready. We have Raynell on the line.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Raynell. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to speak with you. How can I help you?
Well, I've never done this, so kind of new to me.
Okay.
Do I just ask questions, or?
Sure. Well, I can do a basic reading, or you can ask me a specific question, or ask me to focus on a specific topic. It's really just up to you. If there's something in your life currently that is something that you need advice or help with, that kind of sticks out more than other things, you can focus on that. It's just up to you and what you need.
Okay. I would like to ask about my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She has been battling cancer for 16 years, and she was pronounced in remission a couple months ago, but it ended, and I wanted to know if there was any insight on that that you may be able to give me.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I'm getting for your mother and her cancer is that this is something she is experiencing as part of her life lesson, and that seems really obvious. But for your mother, it's really when I say life lesson, I mean that she has the cancer to teach other people through her experience.
Okay.
So it's a kind of strengthening for your family. It's about bringing about, an awareness and a consciousness in our society, where currently we have so many new alternative treatments for so many health ailments, and that we're delving deeper into the facts that all disease is caused through, emotional base. It can be caused through trauma. Many neurosurgeons, many oncologists, MDs, they're catching up to this new idea of treating disease through energy or emotional bases. And people like your mother, they're and my mom had also experienced a health issue in the last few years too. So I understand that how stressful it can be and how unpredictable this stuff can be. But really, I feel like your mother is in a place in her life where this is one of her other lessons that she needs to learn. And all of the people recently who have had cancer, who have had to battle these horrible battles with this disease, it's been basically a way that they can contribute to new medical ideas and new medical treatments for things. And they're actually serving, and I know it sounds unfair because I know that this is a life-threatening illness, but they're serving part of their life to better these treatments for the future generations. And that is actually a really amazing sacrifice to give to somebody. That's a great thing that she has actually an opportunity to do. And were you hoping to get more detail on how the treatment's going to go, or was there something specific that you wanted to know about?
I just wanted to see if there was a bigger purpose to it.
Yeah.
Because she's only gone into remission one other time, and it only lasted, I think, maybe a month the first time, and this time it has only lasted a couple months. And I just wanted to see if maybe there was a bigger purpose to it, because she's been battling for 16 years. I mean, that's a long time. So I just wanted to see if that, like I said, a bigger purpose, which you kind of explained that, yeah, there is a little bit of a bigger purpose there.
Yes. The other part of that I'm now feeling and seeing is she needed this experience to learn what she needed to learn in this lifetime. I know it's always a hard battle whenever you talk about cancer, and I understand that completely. And on the other hand, some people, and I know this might sound kind of different or strange, but some people need to be a little closer to the veil of death, and that is the spirit world. And one of the ways that they can be closer to that dimension, I guess you could call it, is they suffer from an illness. And what that does is it puts the body in a state of being sort of straddling the spirit world and this world. And when I myself have had a couple of 3 near-death experiences, and it forces a person's spirituality to grow in a way where enlightenment can become possible at a much more accelerated rate. They become more perceptive much of the time to, medium work, to people who have passed, to understanding deeper meanings of life to teach others in their own lives, their family, their friends, the people around them, that the real meaning of life, the real reason why we're here. And most of the time, these people have ascended into a place spiritually for different reasons, or they've proved themselves to the divine. Some people call it God, some people call it Christ consciousness, but they've more or less much of the time proved that they can be trusted with higher spiritual work and work with ascended masters. And one way that they do that is they get closer to the spirit world while they're in this life. And that gives them the space and the capability of being able to gain a much different perspective than somebody who has not battled something that so closely edges death or moving to the next life.
That actually makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense, actually. Yeah. That kind of helps me to cope a little better, knowing that, because I've seen her spirituality grow over the years, and she's changed a lot, and I see that every day.
Right, and now you have that experience in that example for you and your family to see what she's experienced and to watch her example in her spirituality grow on that. I mean, how much has that taught you?
I was 8 years old when she was diagnosed, and I'm 24 now, so I mean, it's definitely been a life-changing experience. It's taught me a lot over the years. I mean, how to be humble and to be kind and, all that kinds of stuff, and to reach out to different things in life that help me cope a little bit better than what your average person might go toward.
Definitely.
It's really helped me.
I definitely get that you're a wise woman. Like, you have experience beyond your years.
Yeah, I've heard that all my life.
Mm-hmm. And you, your mother for a reason in this life. You guys have a contract, a spiritual contract, where you two agreed that you would help her with this and help her through this journey, and that she would teach you with this experience in this lifetime. So there are no mistakes. There isn't real misfortune in a way of when you go through hardship and you're learning so much spiritually. It's an incredible way to grow and to learn for a higher purpose.
Yeah, that actually explains our relationship quite well. I mean, we've always been very close, and I've always taken care of her. And I mean, I moved her into my house when she had no place to go, and and she's been living with me ever since. So, I mean, our relationship has done nothing but grow. And I feel like that was meant to be like that, because we've never really, like, I didn't live with her for a few years, and then she moved in with me. So, I mean, I feel like we're meant to live together.
Right. And what that does is it prepares you for your future life work. So we all have a specific assignment in this lifetime. And what it does, that assignment will always be available to us to choose to do it or not. And I believe that you would choose to do it, especially with your strong spirituality, and your wise, wiser than your years, mentality and spirituality. You have I think you have a very old, what they call an old soul. So you have one of those warrior spirits where you are, you have to go through some pretty intense training, especially earlier on in life. Usually these are the people that have a lot more of the difficulty during childhood. And I would put you into the category of a warrior spirit. And in this work, I come across a lot of these warrior spirits that are, they're trained to do big work in their lifetime. They're there to serve a very large populace of people. They have an immense spirit about them. They're very larger than life spiritually, and they definitely draw people's attention. Like, they'll be noticed in a room. They're very, people are drawn to warrior spirits because they're so strong. And our society and its basic survival attitude, where the fittest survive, and all of the people who they call the sheep really they're drawn towards those warrior spirits because they're so strong and they provide protection for the village, I guess you could say, in society. So you're one of those, and I really, really feel like you're going to be prepped for something even bigger later, and you're going to know what that is as you go. But I really feel like that could be in health, whether that be emotional, mental, psychological, or like life sciences, such as nursing or a doctor, or somewhere in that field. You would be able to really do very well. And this could be preparing you for that.
Okay. Yeah, I've always had an interest in helping, and I haven't quite figured out what I want to do, but I know I want to help. I haven't figured out. Like, I interned at a hospital. I mean, I'm a hairstylist by trade. I was a pharmacy technician. I've done a lot in my lifetime. None of them really fit perfectly. So I'm still looking for that trade that I can help. That's always been my thing, is I love to help.
Right. And the things that you're doing, that you've done so far, you're still very young. And the things you've done so far, you'll notice that there's little bits and pieces you're going to take from those trades that you will bring with you into your field eventually. So don't worry, you're going to do fine. You're going to do great. And, just know that your mom is going to follow the life path that she was given to follow. And it's going to be timed in just the way that it was meant to be followed. And it's going to go in just the direction it was supposed to. And you're going to be able to learn and grow. And you're going to have an immense ability to make a family no matter where you go. That's the other thing, because you are so strengthened by this that you could go, to school, or you could go to work, and people want to follow you. They're going to really, look up to you. And it's really important you're a good example for the other kids your age who don't have as much experience as you.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're, just continue to be kind and helpful like you've been doing, and you'll know exactly what it is when you see it. I think you could be a nurse or a doctor. You could work with hospice or something like that, and and really understand people. Whereas somebody who has not experienced what your experience would not be as good in the field as you would be.
Yeah. There's been a lot of medical tragedies in my family over the years, and then again, growing up with my mom being sick, you learn to adapt to that kind of thing over time.
I get that, yeah, and I would also stress that you really learn a lot of self-care and learn to be a little selfish, because what happens when you're in the caretaker role for so long is people tend to forget about themselves. And what they do is, even though they know how to prevent disease or they know how to care for others, they forget about themselves, or they just skip themselves altogether. So it's really important that you don't forget yourself. And it may feel like you're being selfish when you practice self-care, but it's not. It's what everybody else basically does. Just normally, and you're so used to caring for others that I don't want to see you, go on the wayside because you're always taking care of other people. It's good to take care of others, but it's just as important to take care of yourself. So
I agree with that completely.
Yeah, and you'll do a great job. Just care for yourself as much as you care for other people. Same.
Yeah. I probably should do that, actually.
Yeah.
I did have another question.
Okay.
This one's about me. I've always been scared that I'm infertile. It's never been diagnosed, so I don't know if I am or not. But do you see a possibility of kids in the future?
I do see the possibility of kids, but I see that you have been under so much stress for so long that your body it's kicked your hormones off of their normal route. It's important that you go get your hormones checked and get tested for how much, in detail, how many hormones are like. It has to be like one of those special panels that they do, one of those blood panels they do for the specific amounts of hormones. And, I really feel like, do you exercise regularly?
My job, I work in a warehouse, basically running around all over the place. So it's basically a workout.
So you have like you have a lot of physical stress there. If you're doing that all day, even if you work doing something like that, a lot of doctors would say you need to add some cardio or something on top of that, or weights or something like that, even though what you do for work is very labor intensive. But I feel like your hormones, like it's something about cortisol and norepinephrine and all those hormones. It's just, they're kind of thrown off a little because of your stress level. And then if you can practice mindful breathing, some meditation, you will be able to reduce the stress hormones in your body to the point that your body will regulate and you will definitely be able to get pregnant. I see that, if you leave it without seeing a doctor, you could probably get pregnant in about 7 years. And if you go to the doctor earlier and get a little bit of help with that and have them just test all the hormones and what's going on in your system, then it would be around 4 to 5 years that you would be able to get pregnant. But it's not like you're permanently infertile. It's more or less something that can be resolved.
Okay. Yeah, I just was always worried about that, and now that I'm in a steady relationship, I was even more worried about that. So
that's understandable. Well, good luck to you. We're just about out of time. Thank you so much for calling. And you can follow me on Facebook, and I can always take emails too if you have any other questions at AnnaOlsenIntuitive.com. If you want to contact me there, you can let me know how things go.